Hello and welcome to this video tutorial brought to you by the PDST Post-Primary Maths team. This video will look at how a teacher can create a Google form, ask multiple choice and open questions, send the form to students using Google Classroom and view responses. As an example, we're going to look at how to create a form for lesson 1 of a calculus unit. This video is partly a response to requests received from maths teachers for support in this area. Forms can also be used with other learning management systems. Forms can be accessed from the Google Suite Waffle in Gmail or in Classroom. I have my email open here, so if I click here, I want the Forms icon, so I need to scroll down to see the purple Forms icon. Now you might want to look at exit tickets, quizzes or assessments in your own time, but we're going to start with a blank form. And the first thing I'm going to do is give my form a name up here. And this is the name the form will be saved as in my Google Drive. So we're going to look at how to make a couple of different style of questions. Here's my first question. So there's my question. Can you calculate average speed? Now over here, because of the style of question, Forms has chosen multiple choice for me, which is actually what I want. There are other options. You can have a short answer, a longer answer, paragraph. If we need a lot of choices for students, we can choose checkboxes, but I'm happy with multiple choice. Now I want yes to be one of my options, so I'll click that. And I want not sure as another option. That's not there from Forms, so I need to type it in. Here we go. Now I want all my students to answer this question, so I'll say it's required. Okay, over on the right then, there are some buttons we can use. I'm going to add question in a second. I can also import questions. If there are questions I use regularly and I have them in a previously used form, I can import them. I can add a title and description, an image, a video, and a section. We're not going to look at how to use sections in this video. So add question. So here's my second question. It's a follow on from the first one, and when I typed it in, Forms looked at the style of question and gave me a paragraph, which is what I want. It gives my students enough room to write a decent response. And this isn't required. I'm not going to ask every student to do this. It will depend on how they answer the first question. Okay, so they're the two style of questions that we're going to look at for now. Now, starting to think about the responses, I'm in questions at the moment. And if I click on responses, we're going to look at the responses in two different ways. And I want to create a spreadsheet that will gather the responses. So if I click here, and because I've given the form a name, it comes in here. You can rename it, but I'm happy with that. So I'm going to create a new spreadsheet. Create. And we're also going to look at the settings up here. So that's the spreadsheet being created. Now in the settings, one thing that is useful for me as a teacher is to collect email addresses so I can see who made what response. I can also check that all my students have entered a response or who's missing. So there are other options down here, but we won't change them for now. There's options in presentation. We can select a quiz and mark it, but I'm happy with this one where I'm going to collect email addresses, so save. Okay, now I'm going to put in the rest of my questions. Okay, so I've put in all the questions that I want for now. So I'm ready to go and give the form to my students. So there are various ways to send a form, but we're going to look at how to do it from Google Classroom. So here I go up to my classroom. This is the class that I want to send it to. So if I go to classwork, create assignment, here's one way you can send your students the form. Okay, so I've given it a title and the instructions are fairly straightforward. Please complete the attached form. Now I want to add. Now the form that I created will have been stored in Google Drive. So if I go to Google Drive, now I can find the name, rates of change, that's the form I want. So I select it and click add. And as usual with assignments, I can give a due date. I'll say tomorrow. And then assign. Now, like any other assignment, that's gone to all my class. So I've created the form, I've sent out the form to the students and assigned them to complete the form. Now I want to look at the responses. So if I go up to classwork, I can see 3 students have turned it in and all my students have turned it in. So to look at the responses then, I can go back to the form. If I click on responses, I can get a summary, I can look at the questions, and I can look at individual students. So I see the people who have responded because I selected that I wanted the email addresses, and I can look at the responses for each question. So all students are happy enough with the first few questions. Question 7 causing a bit more trouble. Question 9 more so. So that gives me an idea of what I need to address with my students before I carry on. I can look at individual students and see how they got on and how they responded. Here's their responses. And I can look at individual questions. And I can navigate that way. Now, I selected to create a spreadsheet. So if we look at the spreadsheet now, we can see when a student responded, how they answered, and their email address. So that might be useful. I could maybe search for a particular student. I could categorize them. I could manipulate the data. I could search for things or put them in order. So that spreadsheet can be useful. Okay, so we looked at how to create a Google form, how to ask questions, how to send the form to students using Google Classroom, and how to view the responses. So that's it for now. Thank you. Bye.